Hello, this is Three Martini Lunch, the national virtual networking event. I'm Stephen David Elliot, the creator and founder of Rockstar Connect. We are bringing you this event. If you heard some squeaking, we have a little puppy who is adding to the entire program. He's very cute, but active and noisy and loud. I hope everyone has had a great week since the last event, and I'd love to hear everything that has happened to you. We always start off this program with the success is contagious model. We want to know what your success of the week is. But I want to take it a little bit further. I'd like to ask you, in addition to what is your success of the week, and that can be family-oriented, that could be spiritual, that could be for your client, but also just, it's been a few months of doing these. We're going through COVID. I just want to know how you're feeling and how you're doing too, if you want to share that with us. If you don't want to share that, you don't have to. You're a private person. I totally get it. And so today in the first hour of the program, we have Jenny and Clint and Domenic and Katie and John and Rhonda and Mike. So we're pretty heavy in North Carolina. We do have some South Carolina people and some California people. And John is out in the other part of North Carolina, which might as well be altogether a different state. So, John, last week I was carting around these people from California that said they wanted to move out of California because they wanted to be in a more balanced state where it was more balanced politically than Los Altos Hills, California. I get a text from them today. They're looking in Princeton, New Jersey. Princeton, wow. New Jersey. I mean, Princeton, New Jersey is 12% Republican, and 98% were definitely not Republican, and probably part of that 12% of Republicans aren't Republicans either. So it is what it is. Hey, so let's start with Katie today. Katie had a very successful week. She had a really cool outfit for her event and only minor technical difficulties. So how are you doing, and what was your success for the week?
Yes, thank you. We had my nonprofit Going Places, and if anyone doesn't know, we provide bikes to every child at once in the low-income elementary schools in big surprise bike reveals. So we're giving 400, 600 bikes at once. And we had a virtual fundraiser this past Saturday. And, it's hard to get people to come to things, even when it's like a huge in-person event. It's just hard. Charleston especially is a very last-minute city when it comes to stuff. And there was a huge football game on, the USC game, which made it also difficult. But people did come, not a ton, but that's to be expected with a virtual event. But we did have a couple technical difficulties. But again, of course, I freak out. But everyone said, nowadays, you watch the Today Show and they have technical difficulties. Everyone's used to it. Everyone expects it. They know it's not my fault. But we ended up between that and the silent auction and people donating as they registered for their free ticket. We raised almost $7,000. So I'm happy with that. Gosh,
I mean, if you do one of those every month,
Yeah, well, we can't do that every month. People will get very burned out. But I'm very happy with that outcome. And we had lots of great silent auction items. And I just think it's good exposure, too. I mean, I went on the news a ton to talk about it and talking about it here and just all of our social media. That's still people hearing about us. And it takes, with products, it takes 3 to 5 times for information to pass someone's eyes before they buy and act. So with the nonprofit, I think it's double that because they're not walking away with the product. It's just, here's my money. So we have to really promote a ton for our name to come across someone's eyes 10 times. So just every time we're promoting these events, it's heavy promotion and more likely people are hearing about us. So I think it's good in the long run anyways, even if we didn't raise any money.
Just off the top of my head, what about a Tom's model? If someone bought a bicycle from your link and they put a little premium on top of it, enough to buy one of the kids' bikes, you think people would react to that? It's like you're buying
we have to
buy kids a bike.
Because everything we do, when nonprofits very different than for-profits are ran. So like a bike shop could do that with all their bikes, every time someone bought a bike, they could donate one to us, let's say. But we couldn't do that because we can't sell bikes, because every penny that comes in to support us is donated money, and you can't sell something that somebody like with donated money, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'll find an accountant that can help.
Well, there's certain, there are certain ways, because we sell T-shirts and stuff like that, I guess. But no, that's just not our, like that. We're not like a bike shop, so
what
no.
you need Trump's accountant, and we'll get it all figured out for you.
Yeah.
No.
No, I think we're not a bike. Like
I understand.
Work for us.
I totally understand. But I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to figure out a way to without any work, without adding any other work on. That's the key. You have
right. It would be great if a bike store, just every time they sold the bike, they donated a bike. That would be the ideal. Then we don't have to do any work, and it's just, the cost of a bike being donated to us. But our bikes are also custom made. What a great
partnership that would be.
Well, we have, we partner with Kent Bikes, which is number 3 in the country behind Schwinn and Huffy, and we get our bikes extremely cheap at cost from them, and they're custom. We don't give just bikes someone buys us. Like, our bikes are custom made.
How much do those bikes cost if someone wanted to buy a bike?
So if someone were to donate the cost of a bike for us, it's about $80, and then with a lock and helmet, altogether, a bike lock and helmet's about $100.
Wow, that's great. Who here on the panel would like to buy a bike for a kid this week?
It's tax deductible.
I'll buy one. I'm going to buy one.
Thank you.
Anyone going to join me? Mike, you buying a bike? $100.
No pressure.
No pressure there.
Everyone's like,
I'll call you all personally and get you to commit to buying a bike.
Well, I'll put the link in the chat if anyone changes their minds.
Okay, that's because $100. To have an impact like that for $100, that's a lot. A kid will ride a bike every single day. Right.
Yeah, I'll put one in right now into the chat. Thank you, Stephen.
Can you make sure we buy a bike this week? Okay, so you sold at least one. Maybe Sarah will buy one. That'll be 2.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll share the link too.
Yeah, we're going to share the link as well. Hey, so John, this is actually your 3rd time being a panelist. I went back to check to see if you've been on the one time before bearded.
Yes.
And now you're unbearded. And,
unbearded.
I know you're a great storyteller. We had a conversation, and you said you're terrific at sharing anecdotes that teach people. Training is your thing. Can you impart a story for us about what's going on in your neck of the woods that's a positive thing, that's a success?
Yeah, I'm going to dovetail off of Katie's, for lack of a better word, share. So I had an opportunity last week to meet with a lender. One of my agents said, "Hey, I want you to meet with my lender friend." And in my world, a lender meeting me as a real estate broker in charge and someone who runs a 350 agent office. These are basically heavy sell jobs. And so I was prepared to get sold really heavy on using her for my loans. Well, lo and behold, we sat down and we started to talk about what was important to them, and they introduced me to an organization called Beds for Kids. And she starts out by telling me, I live in Charlotte and we're in Charlotte. She says, do you know what the capacity of the Spectrum Arena where the Charlotte Hornets play? And I said, yeah, it's like 20,000 seats or something, somewhere around there. She says, it's right. It's 19,077 seats. That is the number of children that go to bed in Charlotte every night without a bed to sleep in. And I just stopped and I thought, man, all of a sudden, you hear about, people in need and things that they have to, families could use. And in real estate, one of the things that I do is I help people buy homes that have an extra bedroom so the child can have a bed. But I never really thought about does everybody in the room have a bed? So what this organization does is it solicits beds from all different sources, warehouses them and has them ready to go. And on a weekly basis, you get referred to this company. So somebody in child welfare services or one of the service providers, police, fire, medic, notices a need and submits your name to this company. And so what we do, or this company does, is this company goes out and it prepares the beds, gets them all loaded up, goes out to the home in the morning. Now this was pre-COVID, so it's a little different. Goes out to the home, constructs the bed, makes the bed, sheets, linens, the whole 9 yard, pillows, the whole thing, puts it all together. So when the kids come home from school, they have a bed in their bedroom. And now COVID is a little different, but it's the same basic deal. So now they get to watch you build a bed. But the neat thing about this too was it's not free. They charge the families, and now it's a nominal charge. It's like, $50 for a whole house full of beds. And then we're talking children and adults. But the thing about it is it says, look, this is not gratuity, this is not handout, this is not welfare. This is an opportunity for us to participate in our own growth and development. And we decided then and there at the table that we were going to commit as one of our charitable deeds for the end of this year and the beginning of next year to commit to the beds for kids. So it was something really touching because we take for granted that we go to sleep in a bed at night. And there's so many that don't. So there was my story. There was my feel good. I hope it, and I'll put information about it in the chat as well.
It's interesting, the $50 contribution is smart because then you don't feel like a charity case. You just feel like you're paying it forward. And
exactly.
You're not a charity case, everyone is entitled to a bed. I made a post a few weeks back, and I said, there are a lot of people that are very content and comfortable with their situation right now. Maybe they have a business that's not impacted by COVID, or hasn't been impacted by COVID yet. They're getting a paycheck. They're enjoying their big screen TV, their Netflix, their Hulu, their comfortable beds that they have in their house and the bicycles and all the things that come with middle-class wealth. But, enjoying the family time too. But think about the people that are living in dilapidated trailers. Maybe multiple families in a dilapidated trailer, and forbearance has stopped and they're now cutting off utilities, and we're coming into the fall and in the winter. So when we're going online and we're trumpeting our successes, we also have to temper that with the fact that we have to do as much as possible to understand where other people are coming from, or make contributions to people like Katie's organization, going places, because those bicycles may be the only way those kids can get out of their household. Do you remember when you were a kid, your bicycle, what that freedom was? It was even more so than when you got a car when you were 16. It was a bigger deal.
Now during, COVID, when they can't even do anything, they can't go anywhere, but with the beds, having been a teacher in a low income school, I oftentimes the worst behaved kids, like the red level kids, the high flyer kids, those were kids that didn't have beds. They were kids that slept on the floor. You found out, slept on the couch. So I once was getting rid of my mattress and gave it to a 4th grade boy who didn't have one, who was at my school. I bought pillows for kids. They're like, I've never had a pillow. I'm like, oh my gosh, I went and bought 2 pillows.
And it's very difficult because there are rules and regulations about selling used mattresses.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very
because I was the teacher. The school was like, it's fine, just bring.
But you were giving them the mattress.
Yeah.
That's
well, and then you have other components too. Think about this, guys: the bed frames, furniture. Mm-hmm. So we as realtors, we quite often will list and sell a home, and there's furniture in there that is junk to the current owners, but is gold to somebody else. And so we as an industry can participate in this by donating the furniture that would have been left behind, and they'll come get it. It's so cool. Yeah. It's like, look, I've got this bedroom suite that we're not going to use. Now the mattress, Stephen, you're right. You got to be careful about that. But the mattresses, most part, get donated or they're purchased through organizations that work with that. But the frames themselves, I mean, they're doubles, they're queens, they're singles, they're twins, whatever they are. But it's just a great way for us as realtors to give back without really even, just as we look at it as a part of our business. So thank you for pointing that out, Katie.
Yeah, I think one of the COVID hobbies now is, and tell me if I'm wrong, how many of you have gone on Facebook Marketplace in the last few months? This sort of becomes something that's popped up. And people, there are people out there, I personally know people that have lost jobs that they're selling their possessions on Marketplace. And people that don't have so much money, they're buying there, and people with money are buying it. But you can also put up on Marketplace items for free. So if there's some things that you don't want to sell and you want people to pick it up, they'll buy it. In fact, I did put up an item for free, and the person who ended up taking it left $20 under the mat because they said, well, I'm going to resell it, and I'm going to make $50 on it. So I just wanted to share the wealth with you, which I thought was very nice. Florida has completely reopened. They have removed capacity requirements on restaurants. Now I believe masks are not mandatory. They're optional. They're not mandated. And a lot of events are occurring down in Florida. We started doing events there. Mark is down in South Florida in the Miami, Brickell Road area. What's some successes you've had in the last week? How has this announcement impacted businesses in Florida?
Well, I can tell you my biggest success last week was I was kayaking in Black Canyon below Lake Mead, and I survived the 12-mile kayak, 5 hours in 110-degree heat. So that was my biggest success last week.
That is a big success.
Yeah. I actually owe you a thanks. I spoke to someone that you sent me, and I think he called you. He is super excited. I basically rocked his world and showed him and his wife, who are both fairly astute people when it comes to the finance world, what they weren't being told, and it just rocked their world. So that was exciting.
Yeah.
The reopening of the restaurants in Florida, they just announced that. I have a lot of friends in the restaurant business. They're not seeing people flocking back. So they're going to see. But it's definitely, headed down the right track for sure.
And I think part of it is the fact, here in Raleigh, we've been, since we could support restaurants and go in restaurants, Sarah and I have done that. And we've gone to some of the most popular restaurants in town. And it's just not the same thing when it's quarter capacity when you go into a restaurant where the excitement before was people watching. And that's part of going out to eat. Sarah likes to get dressed up. We'd like to see how other people are dressed. I mean, Sarah will stop people in a restaurant and say, I just absolutely love your shoes or your bag, and interact with people. And once she takes her test for that real estate license, I'm sure she's going to have an enormous amount of clients just on the basis of sharing a love for outfits and shoes. So I think once they open things up, then more people come and they enjoy it. We had our event at Sullivan's last week, and it was a great turnout. Everyone really enjoyed themselves. It was fantastic. We're getting ready to plan our next live event here, but everyone else is having in North Carolina. Every one of our hosts will be having a live event in the next 2 months. Domenic, you're coming up. We're going to get ready to get your event booked, or has your event already been booked, your Rockstar event?
It has not been booked yet. We're working on a venue currently is in my understanding, and so as soon as we have that, hopefully we'll get something that's nice and spacious, or at least outdoors, so we can do the whole social distancing thing. People feel comfortable coming. We can actually post some pictures that are not going to get us in trouble, and have a good time seeing people face to face. I'm looking forward to that again. My understanding is we're getting close to number 3, whatever it is, stage 3, getting able to phase 3, being able to have more people at events and more public gatherings. But right now, while the weather is great, it's that fall in North Carolina where we're in Goldilocks weather, we should take advantage of some outdoor spaces.
Yeah, well, I have a meeting this week, with that gentleman that you introduced me to with Marriott. And they have a location in Morrisville.
Yeah.
I think for a meeting, maybe that's where your next event will be. And we're excited about that. So how are you doing? You feeling good? You happy?
Yeah, I'm feeling fantastic. As a matter of fact, I've survived COVID so long. I turned another year old yesterday. So that's I guess that's a success, aging.
What day was your birthday?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. So we're both Libras.
Yeah, I know.
Connectors. My birthday was, I think, Friday.
So you had Friday. My stepdaughter was Saturday. And yeah, on Monday. So lots of Libras going on. It's good people there. So success this week, making it to 43. Obviously, that's a good one. I've picked up another couple of clients. That's always good. Survived my 19-year-old's birthday party as well. That was fun. So lots of personal successes. And I think, Heather and I are working on the whole mental health aspect of everything that we've got going on. So working on making sure that the kids are okay, committing to making sure that we spend time with each other, that quality time, because right now with both of us working from home and working with the kids with school and having a lot of family in the area and those commitments, we spend a lot of time together, but it's not quality time. So making sure that we have that and figuring out some ways where we can purposefully and intentionally make time during the day to be able to talk about things that aren't distractions, but are actually meaningful to our relationship.
Well, that's some fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
And, look forward to sharing more successes with you. Of course, I'm going to get on a call with you this week and probably with Clint, so we can discuss what we're doing in North Carolina over the next few weeks.
Sure.
Piloting this program at Sullivan's, I think it's something that we need to keep going. My event is North Hills Networking, and North Hills Networking had never missed a networking event in 10 years. We did every month in 10 years, never skipped one event, and now we haven't had an event in 6 months. So my group is ready to rip, roar, and go, and I would love to do like a rooftop type of event while the weather is still good and invite everybody to that.
I think that's a great idea, Stephen. There are some great rooftop locations here. You know where else has fantastic rooftop locations that I think that we can take advantage of? Road trip to Charleston. Katie, what do you think?
Mute. I think we should definitely take a road trip to Charleston. I will be the first one to show you around to all the best rooftop bars.
Yeah, well, no, we just have to book a rooftop bar and do an event there.
Yeah.
Have you
I'm
been
in for it.
Domenic, have you been to Charleston?
Yeah, I speak from experience. As a matter of fact, there are two of my proteges from back in my chef days, people that I brought on in their first jobs and, coached them up to the level where they were sous chefs, and they went on to become chefs in Charleston, and they're running restaurants down there doing fantastic. So yeah, I know the town very well.
I mean, it's a very young town. very young, very attractive people there.
And yet it's a very old town, too.
It is.
Lots of history.
Old town, but the people that run that town are young.
Lots of old money, lots of new money. Old money and new money run this town. And then it's a huge foodie place. I mean, some of the best restaurants ranked in the world are here.
And great clothing shopping, too. Lots of boutiques and stuff like that. That's like, I felt positively almost like a senior citizen there. I mean, there were so many young people running everything, managing everything, great hospitality town. I have to say that Charleston sort of blew me away, and sort of jealous of not living in Charleston.
Steven, you better watch how you talk. You might trigger somebody on this call here.
Am I going to trigger?
Talking about senior citizens. It's not a good thing. Especially for somebody who just had a birthday.
Oh yeah, well, it was my 52nd birthday. I can join AARP.
I'm already a member, son. That is a fact. Hold on.
So I went to.
I'm going to whip out my AARP card.
Local Harris Teeter, and they gave me the senior citizen discount without me asking. That was a little disturbing, but it is, whatever. Rhonda Sher out in California. So Rhonda has made some great posts on social media recently about her, not just like, I had a success this week. I've had a culminating success in my life that I've accomplished. Would you like to share about that?
Yeah. So one of the things if you don't know what I do, I actually get people out of the LinkedIn Witness Protection Program. I'm a LinkedIn expert, and I show people. I love it. That's awesome, Domenic. And I show people how to book 2 to 10 appointments a week on LinkedIn. And one of the things that I've been testing is, sharing probably just like once a month something a little bit personal, and and also a lesson with it. So for those of you that don't know my story, I was married for 28 years to the guy that I met at age 14. He was an older man of 15. And we ended up getting divorced after 28 years, and we were divorced for 6 years. And during those 6 years, every lesson that I needed to learn in life showed up. In fact, that was how I created my business out of LinkedIn, because I imagined that I was going to be one of those supermarket shoppers, because I didn't know how I was going to generate money. And then I realized my superpower was being a connector like you, Steven, and I created a system using LinkedIn. But the best part of the story was that I ended up remarrying my ex-husband almost 5 years ago. So I had a picture of us when we got married in our 20s, and then a picture of us when we got married with Elvis back in 2016. And the question that I asked on there was, what lessons have you learned when, sometimes gifts that you're given are wrapped in sandpaper? And this part you may not even know, Steven, but the funny thing is that my very first date when I got divorced was with a gentleman who, after the date, called me and said, Rhonda, you're a lovely woman, but you don't have the it factor. And I had no idea what the it factor was. But we ended up being friends. And I haven't heard from this guy forever. And he wrote on my LinkedIn, Mazel Tov, and we should catch up, which was hysterical. But the thing that really is great about it was that not only did I get almost 4,500 views on that, I probably had 200 likes and God knows how many comments. So to your point, Steven, posting on LinkedIn is amazing. And I actually had, you talk about a success. This was interesting. I posted something that I found on Facebook. And it was just about, the 10 things that you can do for free. Something like be nice to people, be on time, right? That post got shared 120 times, got almost, I think I'm up to like 900 likes, and I don't know how many comments. And
interesting you bring up that post. I have a story about that post.
Do you really? Yeah, and I mean, it was amazing. I think I'm trying to get to 40,000 views on it. I'm thinking almost to 39. So pretty amazing. And the other two cool things that happened was, I don't know if you can see this, but it's a book called Coach Wisdom, The Secrets of 21 Successful Coaches. And it actually went international bestseller. And I have a chapter in here. And there's another book coming out today, which I wrote the chapter in 3 years ago, called Impact, IMPACT. And if in fact you are inclined to want to go on Amazon between 10 and 2 Pacific time, you can buy the book, buy chapters in there, and it actually tells the story of how I went from was-been to husband, and how I developed my LinkedIn system. So lots of very cool things. And let me just acknowledge you, Stephen, because there is an app called Letting Go or Let Go. And because we're in the process of moving, I have been putting all kinds of stuff on there because we're going from 3,000 square feet down to 1,700. So we're trying to get rid of all kinds of stuff. And if I can give somebody a bed or a kitchen set or, you know, I don't really want the money. I just want you to take it away, you know. So
if you can use it, that's the gift in and of itself.
Exactly.
The post that you made, you know, the 10 things that you should at the very least do in order to be successful. I made that post like 3 years ago.
Did you really?
I actually had a bunch of people that attacked the post. I mean, the majority of people were very positive, but they said, that's unfair. There's some people that just can't be on time. And they can't do those 10 things because they have ADHD or you know, they're on the spectrum or something along those lines. And me putting that up was an insult to them. And
I did get one person who made a comment like that. And everybody else, I mean, and there were probably over 350 comments to that one post. I mean, it just kept getting reshared. So yeah,
it's unfortunate. One of the things in COVID is people are being more late to things. You know, almost every meeting I have, people are either late to it or it's being rescheduled, and that might become the new norm.
So here's the thing that's interesting, because I was looking at the birthdays, and happy belated Domenic, and to you too, Stephen. But the one thing I noticed was we have some Scorpios, right? And both of my kids are Scorpios. And the one thing I know about Scorpios is if you're not 5 minutes early, you're late. Am I right, Clint? Right? Both of my daughters are Scorpios. And you better be early or you are late with Scorpio. So I know that with my kids for sure.
Being on time was always, to me, late. That being said, you know, apps like Waze has made it a lot easier for me to be, you know, on time with less stress. So yes, I can be on time and let that actually be on time.
Yes, I've been told I could get lost in a 2-car garage, so I understand completely.
Do you use that app, Waze?
I do, but you know what? I just think it's kind of genetic, and I miss that gene. The making about the gene to read maps and follow directions. My whole family missed it. It's just my mother, my sister, all of us. Thank God my husband is a human GPS. I would never be anywhere.
Well, thank God for him, and he got to go be the second time around too.
I know, it's great.
So, like, so many people have been making referrals back and forth. I've had referrals from Domenic this week, and from Mike, and from Clint, and you know, I've made some to Mark, and I think I made some to Katie. Nothing for you, Jenny and Domenic.
I have one for you, Stephen. Actually, right before I got on this call, I was just mentioning your name. I'm going to put the two of you together. This could be a really great referral for you.
Oh, well, terrific. Thank you. But Mark, so that gentleman that you spoke with that was so excited, he texted me today and he said, my God, what he learned from Mark was like life transforming. And I have a few other people that are interested as well. So I think that all these referrals people are making to one another are really paying off. And while we were on this call right now, Mike, someone just reached out to me and said that you made an introduction, Michael Engelhardt. So it just popped up on my notification screen. So people are still networking and they're still referring. Mr. Webb, what has been your success this week, and just in general, how are you doing?
So first, success. Again, a lot of people in my job are struggling right now to make sales. And because of folks like you guys, and you know, the network that I've been able to build in the last almost 3 years, I am not one of those people. So it's nice to be able to have success, you know, for myself, but also to share that success and try to encourage success with my teammates. So that's definitely been a success this week. I am doing fine. I've taken this quarantine time and really delved into like mental health, keeping up with the physical health. I mean, I've said it a million times on this program, the things that I've been doing to help myself, and in turn it's helping others. And Rhonda, 1,000,000% agree. I am 15 to an hour early everywhere I go. My daughter is habitually late, and she's a Pisces. My wife is always on time, and she's a Cancer, and my sister is always late, and she's a Cancer. So it seems to be a kind of a theme there, but I don't know if it's a theme, if it's just me or what, but I'm always early, so I 100% agree there.
Well, that's a great thing. It's being considerate, and I hope we don't give up that norm of.
Well, it's mostly my friends that I say that I'm going to meet at a bar for a game, and I'm always the one that saves a seat. So I think they just count on me to be the seat saver, which is fine because that just means I get to have a few more beers than they do.
Very good. That's a plus right there. That's a win. Mike Manning.
Good afternoon.
Welcome. First, what has been your success in the last week, and how are you doing?
I'm doing well. A couple of successes. One is college football season officially started Saturday when Tennessee beat South Carolina. And Trinity and I last week started our first mastermind course focusing on sales and marketing. Had a good turnout. This week's topic is the riches are in the niches, so we're looking forward to that. And I will attest to Clint being early. A couple of months ago when he was on our podcast, we started taping at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Told Clint, see you there at 2:50. I get a call at 2:25. Hey, Mike, I'm here. I'm like, all right, I'll be there in 10 minutes. Clint, that is Clint. So, but it's all good. Rather be early than 10 minutes. Rather be
fast
5
driver
minutes.
too, I understand.
Do what now?
Pretty fast. Clint is a pretty fast driver too. He is.
But rather be 5 minutes early than 5 seconds late. So I'm with you guys on that. But yeah, everything's going well here.
Yeah, I'm the person who drives like someone's grandmother. I'm never speeding, but I'm the one who always gets the ticket because I can't be late. When there's that 1 or 2 times when I am going to be late, then I will speed and I will always get caught.
That's why Scott is my insurance agent there, Stephen.
Your insurance is probably the same cost as a mortgage, I would imagine, with your speed. You drive a fast car too, right? Corvette or something?
No, gosh, no. But thanks for that. No, I have an Acura, so it's not slow, but it's gotten me into some trouble. But it's okay.
As long as it's not red, because they will look for you when it's red.
But when I was 18, I had a red 5.0 Mustang convertible with a black top. So I never got a speeding ticket though. Amazingly.
Yeah, I like it more like a little hidden. Like I'd like an AMG like station wagon that's like 700 horsepower. Like so, some kid like that pulls up to me with a Mustang and starts making fun of me. I just like would beat them off the line. But before we get to Jenny, I just want to say we have a really good question this week. It's almost a little complicated, so you're going to want to take some time with it. A philosophical question. But before we get to that question in the next hour, just something that I'm finding is, and I want you guys to think about this while I'm talking to Jenny. It seems like there's so many opportunities out there right now. Like people are bringing so many things to me, like business ideas that are brilliant, that look like they're just ready to go, investment opportunities. But I'm getting a little bit bogged down. I want to know if you guys are feeling the same way, and if you're not feeling that way, how are you working your way through these opportunities? What strategies are you using? So Jenny, first of all, how are you doing? And what was your success in the last week?
I'm doing well, thank you, Stephen. Success in the last week. I have a couple actually. I have an ongoing client who is like absolutely my ideal client and makes all of the experience just super duper fantastic and easy. So we did her fall, the second part of her fall session last week. I was able to join a marketing panel. It was late Friday night. Take that Buffalo Bills thing down, Domenic. That is BS. Make it go away. And That was a lot of fun. It was a big panel discussion, and I was one of the panelists, so that was cool. I'm taking Scott Rudder's photos tomorrow. And then the last step is to get Stephen and Sarah on the calendar. So
I need to get a haircut for my photos.
Sure. If you feel like you need a haircut, we can wait till you get a haircut.
I do need to get a haircut. So to that other question, before we get to the big philosophical question, when Sarah returns into the space, John, and you're in business development for your company. People are bringing you new opportunities all the time. Are you finding that there's more of that now? And how are you dealing with all these inquiries and offers, et cetera?
I think the environment has contributed to some creativity and some new ways to do business, and a lot of that is centered around some of the feelings people have coming out of this COVID environment now that we know a lot more about it. You were getting a lot of people that are working with, say, I put COVID baskets together for all our listings, and so I have vendors that are coming in and they're helping us put together things that would be in a COVID basket, booties and masks and hand sanitizers and gloves, and put together in a nice way that sit at the front door. We've got other folks that are looking at distance education. North Carolina Real Estate Commission just approved distance synchronous learning moving forward. So now we're looking at people that are coming into the marketplace and offering those kinds of services. So I think a lot of it does have to do with the fact that we're very adaptable as human beings, and when we see something that impacts us as much as COVID has, people do get creative.
Yeah, but I guess my further question is, with all this crush of things, how do you prioritize? Who you're going to speak with, who's your gatekeeper?
Well, I think, I like to listen to everybody for a moment, but at the end of the day, as a business owner, you have to be focused on the simple things that you do extraordinary. I think that was John D. Rockefeller said that. The common things that you do extraordinary are the things you need to focus on. The Collins, the good to great. Get the right people on the bus and put them in the right seats. So if you can stay disciplined to what it is that you do as a business, that helps weed out a lot of it. So making sure that we do, we want to help people grow and develop in their businesses. So we have a coaching side. We want to help people buy and sell homes. So we have that, but I don't really need to get into too many other things other than that. And so staying based or staying focused on the primary thing, making the primary thing is what we do.
Yeah, I've noticed in our industry, there's been a big shift in the last 6 months away from lead generation to relationship building and branding.
Yeah, it's about trust-based selling. It's about people do business with people they know, like, and trust. So we're really raving fans. There's a lot of these publications and a lot of these philosophies that we work with that make sure that you first be a person that they want to do business with first. And then it's not so much selling. People don't want to be sold to, but they want to buy. And that's one of the key differentiators we're having now. And because there's not just anyone I want to go out to have a cup of coffee with during this pandemic. I got to know a little bit about you first, wherein, once upon a time it was, numbers. So I think you're onto something there, Stephen. I think that we are looking at deeper relationships.
Well, I know prior to COVID, we had started working on some Rockstar Connect programs with you. Mm-hmm. And that's what Rockstar Connect does. First and foremost, It's about branding, meaningful connections. We look forward to working with you after things start to open up. And, of course, we're really working hard to build up that Charlotte area.
I was going to say, Charlotte's ready for you. We got a lot of great spots too. So we're excited about the opportunities to expand into the Charlotte market with Rockstar Connect.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. So, Clint, you're a salesperson extraordinaire. right now people are dying for salespeople. I mean, they have programs to sell, courses to sell, products to sell, ideas to sell. How's that impacting you? You must be getting a lot of calls. I know you're focused, on what you're doing, but isn't it difficult when all these opportunities are being presented to you now in the COVID era?
Yeah, I mean, getting offers and, having people reach out. I mean, that's always nice. And, I have a friend of mine that has been a district manager in retail sales for the same company for 20 years. And she goes on at least 2 interviews a year to keep her interview skills sharp. So I think that's a good opportunity right there. If nothing else, she has no intentions of taking those jobs. She just goes on the interviews just to make sure that she, stays up to what everybody's looking for.
Her supervisor doesn't find out about that.
No, actually, her boss knows. So that's one of the cool things. It's one of the cool things there. But Domenic and I were on a call this morning with a mutual friend of ours that may be looking for a job here pretty soon, and it's he's got a lot of opportunities. I was saying that. We're like, salespeople are like teachers and doctors and nurses. As far as we'll always have a job, people will always need somebody to sell their product, because this is something that robots can't do effectively anymore.
Right. I mean, when I had started working, when I was a little kid, basically, but when I was in my early 20s, in between careers, my cousin, who is a degenerate salesperson, like Willie Loman, literally, sold everything over the phone for decades. He says, if I'm going to do anything for you, I'm going to teach you how to eat. He said, once you learn sales, stick with me for a little while, then you'll never have to worry about having an income, because there will always be need for a salesperson.
And real quick, before you move on, Stephen, John, are we going to see you at the event down at Sullivan's in Charlotte next month?
Oh, sorry. I had to bring my boom mic down. If you got an event in Sullivan's next month, send me the details on that.
Great.
We'll have that booked this week, so we'll be ready to move forward. Maybe you guys want to be a sponsor of that event.
That's possible as well. Let's get some information on that, and we can roll that up.
Perfect. I'll set up a call with you.
Good.
Katie, so you started off as a teacher. You run your own nonprofit organization, and then you went into the for-profit sector. That trajectory by starting your own course. In the meantime, you're talking to big shots all over the country. You're talking to people that are producing television shows, corporations, like GoFundMe, for example. People must be trying to hire you to work for their organizations too, aren't they?
I actually have had that a few times. I actually have a call later today. Someone wants to hire me to be a fundraising consultant, and that would sort of be kind of like a leg from my course. So I want to see what they've been, where they're at and what they're doing, if I'm able to help. But I have had that a few times. I'm like, well, I need to focus, my number one priority is my nonprofit, and then my LLC and all that, and the course and the professional speaking and all that is kind of, the other thing I do. But yeah, it's been interesting. It's fun though.
It is fun. I mean, Mark and Rhonda share the two shares, but one's Sher and one's Share.
Oh.
They bring me opportunities all the time. They introduce me to like the most amazing people, not just in the United States, but all over the world. And it's fantastic. And now Mike is introducing me to similar people as well. But sometimes it's hard to prioritize. And when you're good at connecting, it's good to also sort of help people make those decisions. And that's where, Rhonda and Mark are fantastic.
What's good, all of my stuff is sort of connected. My proof that I know what I'm talking about is my nonprofit. And so it's really helpful for me. It's good promotion for my nonprofit because I'm talking about it, and I use that as evidence that I know what I'm doing.
I mean, you have some incredible marketing materials that you've created for your organization and swipes that you could literally find another person and say, do this, do this, do this, do this, release this post, etc. I mean, it's very valuable.
Yes, that we've our social media and our marketing is something that I'm really proud of. We've been very lucky with the the help we've gotten for it. And I have a social media intern that literally I've taught how to do all that, and we communicate through a calendar, and it's worked really well for us.
Yeah, my team has actually collated every post I've ever made on Facebook and what impact it has. So I know which ones to go back to reuse at different times. It's fantastic. It's a library. I mean, basically a library of social media. If anyone would like to make me an offer on that, a couple $1 million to swipe a check, I'm happy to make that available to you. Rhonda, you're presented with opportunities all the time. You're on LinkedIn speaking with people. How do you prioritize? How do you be polite and back out of some of those opportunities?
It's an interesting question because for the most part, any group, what's the old expression, anybody that would have you, right?
And Groucho Marx, any club that would have me, I wouldn't want to be a member. That's it. Yeah.
Something like that. But I think really where I kind of draw the line is I don't work with people that are job hunters just because that's a different vertical. So I refer that out to other people. In fact, last week I had 2 groups that invited me to speak, and one of them I had never heard of before. It's called Echelon Business Development. And they were a spinoff from another group, but they're pretty high-level people. They're people like Domenic and Mark. They're very high-level attorneys and financial people. And I did the presentation to them and probably closed 60% of the room, which was amazing. So, for me, I don't really care if they pay me or they don't pay me. I'd rather they didn't, and they allowed me to make an offer at the end, to tell you the truth. So I absolutely love this virtual platform because it allows me to have an impact on a lot more people and share the message. And I'm not driven by the money. I'm actually driven by the message. I think that those people that, want to be served will reach out. It's never a sales pitch because that's just not how I'm made up. I'm happier when I talk to somebody and I say, oh my gosh, like the call right before I got on this, I said, you have got to meet Stephen David Elliot, and I start to talk about you, and it's a very simple connection. I said, look, you guys are going to find amazing common ground. I'm not sure where it's going to go. I just know the two of you should meet. So I think that's the most fun part of getting on these platforms is meeting the people and then just introducing them to people, and being on this platform has opened up so many doors for me. I've connected with people that I haven't seen for ages, like Norma Hollis and Marjorie Salson. I mean, amazing, right? So I just give you a ton of credit, Stephen, for putting this together, and with Sarah's help, just doing it. And I think we all win, and it opens up opportunities. And if I can talk, my father said, most of you aren't old enough to recognize the statement, but my father said I was vaccinated with a phonograph needle. So
he said the same thing about me, the exact terminology, my parents.
Okay, I like to talk, right?
It must be a Yiddish expression.
It must be, I guess.
No, possibly. Mike Manning is saying no, he heard the same expression. Mike, how are you dealing with all these people contacting you with all these opportunities and connections and everything else?
Well, I think a lot like Rhonda was saying, virtual is wonderful. And the day after we were all sent home for COVID, Wired to Change became a global company. The day before COVID, no interest in working outside the triangle. Now we have interest working outside the triangle. So we're able to talk with more people and just spend a little bit more time vetting them. It's nice to be able, I forget who mentioned it earlier, but it's nice to be able to do a Zoom call before you drive somewhere. I enjoy that, and I think I'm going to keep that as part of my onboarding package is let's chat for a minute, see where it could go, and then I'll drive to Durham or Greensboro or Rollsville or wherever. But, whereas before, jump in a car in a second, go meet somebody for a cup of coffee. But now use virtual, but just have been able to expand potential opportunities. So I'm looking forward to some of those.
I would say that before COVID, I did a lot of Zoom, a lot of phone calls, because there was absolutely no way that I could keep up with the amount of people that wanted one-on-ones and connections. In fact, when I first started my first Rockstar Connect event, North Hills Networking, I would have so many one-on-ones from that event that I would go have one of the venues I would use. I would go Monday morning, first thing in the morning, and stay in the same seat until like 9 o'clock at night and meet people one-on-one and groups, etc. It was just overwhelming. So I think Zoom is an excellent tool for that. But I have to tell you, I will not do business with someone unless I really trust them. It takes a period of time. I mean, there's some people, Rhonda, first phone call, Mark, first phone call, we were like that. But, that may be a little bit of Jewish geography there. We just put it out there and you figure out who you know and that they can vouch for you. But meeting people face to face is enormous. And right now there's a lot of people that say they're not going to go to physical networking events. They're only going to Zoom from now on. I see that changing very quickly. As soon as people can get out and they can enjoy themselves and have that other aspect of networking, which is the social component of it, the part that stimulates your brain and make sure you keep keep your appearance up and all of these other things that are the benefits of physical face-to-face networking. So we can take it now. You were making a bet about dogs earlier, but I'm going to bet $10 to anyone that takes it. Come January of next year, you will see more physical networking events from a variety of companies and individuals than you ever have in the past. A lot of pent-up demand for them. We have next month, we're going to have events in 8 different states next month. So, we're already coming back. Jenny, how are you dealing with all these opportunities? Really, I would say that the virtual has pushed up your status considerably.
Yeah, I had to shift. Photographing people happens in person, right? So, when you can't photograph people, you have to create some opportunities for yourself, which is what I did. But now, I just foresee a hybrid model moving forward, right? Like I could, if you have an iPhone, I could work with you anywhere. I can actually set it up to do virtual photo sessions so that using your iPhone, and I do the direction and I can take the photos through your camera on my camera. It's amazing. But that's, I think for me, it's been about being creative.
Your company is stories and strategies. It's not photos and photos. It's stories and strategy. Yeah. Photos, one of the strategies that you use to help people get stories. Right. So I think you had the ideal product at the ideal time, because now how do you get your story out there?
Right. So it's the shift to the digital content.
Just because you have a virtual event doesn't mean people are going to show up at the virtual event. And if they do, are going to participate. Sarah and I sat in, over 100 virtual events since COVID started. And I got to tell you, some of them I would rather go to the dentist than go to some of these events, because anyone can jump in the event too. There's nothing to bar their entry. It's not like no pants, no service. They can just sort of jump in and dominate a conversation. And gosh, 3 Martini lunch, you're dealing with people that are like-minded. They want to help other people. It's a different story than your run-of-the-mill event. But Domenic, best for last. How are you dealing with all these opportunities? People must be bringing you stuff all the time based on all the activity you've had networking recently.
Jumping on them, trying to keep up with them, to be honest with you. So, prior to COVID, I had an admin that I worked with in my office, and now, because we can't be together, the type of work that my admin was doing for me, no longer able to do. So I'm having to do a lot of that work as well. So it's just keeping up.
You need a new admin?
It's not that I need a new admin. I need to figure out the model where my admin can do the work remotely. I haven't had a chance. I haven't been able to figure that out quite yet. But that being said, I've been busier than I've ever been. Not only am I meeting more people, because everybody in this environment is acting in a virtual way. So we're all essentially in the same place on the internet, right? So it gives us an opportunity to really do more, have more activity, and you don't spend as much time doing non-revenue generating activities such as commuting. So you do get more opportunities, and I'm just having more conversations, developing more relationships. I'm utilizing more of the relationship marketing, as John was talking about earlier, developing that know, like, and trust factor, and being able to do it with more people, do that with more people over time. And that's going to lead to more recurring business as time goes on. It's been great for business during COVID, but I think kind of once we get past the fear and anxiety of being together in person, and we do have, whether we develop herd immunity through a vaccine, or we all wear masks for the next month and the virus eradicates itself, whichever way you want to go. Once we go back to, a more normal lifestyle, what we've been accustomed to prior to the pandemic, the relationships that I've built during the pandemic are, I think, really going to bear fruit.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of the relationships that have happened during the pandemic, they get to a certain point, and because you can't have that, because people are being pulled in multiple directions, they're looking for opportunities, and then there is not the meeting face-to-face. In some deals, you just have to meet face-to-face. I've jumped on planes.
That is
eyes to make sure business.
That is absolutely true, Stephen. And fortunately for me, I've discovered golf recently. Clint can tell you it is very recent that I discovered golf, which is evidenced by my game. But we talk about this quite often, the speakeasy. I can have people come over to my house, sit down at a bar like we would, at the city club, have a beer or have a scotch and talk business.
This is true, but I will say this to a certain extent, and I do this too. I mean, we have people over our home. We've had business meetings over our home. We're all sort of pretending that we're not meeting face-to-face, but there's a lot of meeting face-to-face going on. Let's be honest about it, whether it be business or whether it be social. I'm just going to pull away the curtain and tell you it's happening. Let's end the farce and just open up at this point, because we're not fooling anyone. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Domenic.
I was just going to say, I think that people are meeting face-to-face, but not nearly as much as it would be if we just said, forget it, let's just go back to normal. Then things would get a bit more problematic.
I mean, it might be a little bit more problematic, or it might not be. We may reach that herd immunity sooner if there is such a thing. But in the meantime, we're sort of going through the motions of, like, we're not meeting. We're sort of subverting our economy. We're impacting businesses. Like, we had someone over in the restaurant industry yesterday, and they happen to be doing extremely well because they have very large venues. So even at a portion of the capacity, they still seem pretty full, and people want to go to them because they want to see other people. They're doing very well.
You know what I saw the other day that I found interesting, Stephen? So I was at a restaurant, and it's right next to a movie theater. Now the movie theater is closed, and the movie theater has all this patio space right in front of it. So what did the restaurant do? It just expanded their patio out into all of this space that's essentially been abandoned by the movie theater. Everybody's social distance. It's nice weather. They're able to serve just as many people as they would have served inside, and everybody feels comfortable going there. because it's outdoors. That restaurant's doing extremely well. There's a number of other restaurants that have just expanded their patio area. Jenny, I'm sure, can tell you that downtown Apex, they basically taken up the street and buried. They took up the parking areas, and
that works fine until it's 30 degrees outside.
It's North Carolina. It's never 30 degrees outside.
North Carolina. I mean, let's be real.
I mean, it'll get there. And also just a matter of, that poor movie theater, no use of the theater. I mean, what really hurts me is when I drive by the schools, I see signs you can't go onto the campus, and I'm thinking, we don't have we have multiple trillions of dollars worth of physical infrastructures in universities and elementary schools, middle schools, junior highs, high schools, what have you, and they're not being used. The public property. Yet the private schools are more packed and more successful than they've ever been.
So this is
we're getting around the rules. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, if you're a believer in free markets, what's going on right now is that businesses that can't exist in this environment are doing poorly. That's absolute fact. But businesses that are tailored to this environment are doing exceptionally well. And I know it's hard for the people, things changed and people are having to adapt to the change. And that's unfortunate, but there are people in this economy that are doing exceptionally well. There's people that aren't, and that is the hard thing about free markets, is that it does create winners and losers. And
if it was free market, the government wouldn't be applying regulations that impact your successful business. So let's not pretend it's free market. It's some people following the rules, other people not following the rules. It's some people having the rules tailored to benefit them and not other people. So it's not. This is the opposite of free market. This is the government imposing regulation.
Well, the government's always
subject regarding dealing with opportunities, which was the original subject. If anyone does need help with their company, they're expanding, they're growing their business, Rockstar Connect, we do have a virtual agency as well. And we can help you with all of those things, booking appointments, connecting you, with the people that you need to run your business properly without you making an enormous investment in changing your model. But who wants to do the question for the week? Who's interested? Because this is going to be a tough one.
I'm ready.
You're ready? Okay.
Yeah.
Holly, you have someone with you? The pussycat? We saw that.
Yeah. Unintentionally, yes.
I wasn't sure if that was a tail or a snake.
Yeah. He only jumps up here when I'm on Zoom.
Welcome, Jackie. So we dropped out a couple. As soon as I said this question was challenging, 5 people dropped off the call. You noticed that. 5 people. Okay, that's okay. That just gives you guys more time to share share your answers. Who wants to be first? Who wants to be first to answer the question? Do you want me to ask the question first and then ask that?
Ask the question, Stephen.
Okay, so the question is, how do you change from no one to be someone and from someone to be the only one? I'm going to repeat that. How do you change from being no one to being someone to being then the only one? This one seems like it's made for Rena Cook.
Well, I was thinking that too. And I was just jotting it down. When I write something out, it kind of goes into my head. When you go from being no one, I think you have to serve other people. When you give people something of value, they are going to see you. And you are going to become someone to them. And that's the first step. And then how do you go from being someone to being the only one? Offering what you do to the best of your ability, hone it, refine it, keep perfecting it so that the people that do see you see that you are offering something unique that nobody else is offering, so you become the only one.
That's very good. That's very good. So when you're a no one, do you not have value yet, or have you not helped people discover your value?
Well, I think there's an intrinsic first step, and that's recognizing that you are someone to you. Mm-hmm. That you are in and of yourself an important entity. When you ask the question, how do you go from being no one to being someone, I think that has to be in place first. I am here. I know I am. I'm confident I have something of value to offer. But in order to offer it, you have to be seen. You have to become someone in the eyes of other people. And you do that through listening to their needs. What is it they want and need, and how can I help them reach their goal? And each entrepreneur or each small business owner has something unique to offer. When you offer it to people who heretofore did not know you, you become known to them. But if you are not comfortable being alone, then you're going to have a hard time being comfortable with someone, or someone being aware of you, or being someone to someone else. That sense of your own purpose, your own existence has got to be in place. And then you can reach out and offer it to others.
And that's terrific, because I thought that was going to be a really hard question, and you just made it like really super easy to answer that. She did a great job on that one. You know, part of what Rockstar Connect does is, we work with our hosts. Our hosts are already high achievers, either as a community leader or financially, or they have tremendous skill sets, and we assist them in becoming, achieving celebrity status in their local area, which eventually translates into, national notoriety. And this question is very poignant to us because this is what we do for our clients. Mm-hmm. For that matter, that's very similar to what a lot of us do that are either coaches or in the case of Jenny, a branding expert. So this is a great question, I think, for Jenny to answer too. Is this one tailored for you?
As I was writing it, I was like, I feel like this is right in my wheelhouse. Right. Because every question of the week, I always write it down, so I'm never that person that's
this is a great opportunity for you, I think, to say, how your services could help someone achieve this.
Yeah.
Okay. Plug a little bit here. Go ahead.
Well, thank you. I think the answer is first of all, to Rena's point, everyone is born with inherent worth, right? It's just a matter of how you're putting it out there so that you can go, you go from unknown to known by putting yourself out there and being authentic and being real. So part of, the way that, especially now, in this post-COVID world, there is no way other than to be online and to put yourself out there. There's no other way. And it's about crafting a strategy, right? And ways that you can leverage yourself to grow your brand and be putting yourself out there, whether it's through networking events where you get to be broadcast to thousands of people, or if you're doing live videos, do live videos. If you're not doing live videos, do live videos. You're showing people who you are and why it's important for them to see you, right? When you're, the difference between being a no one and being a someone is having the confidence to show up. Mm-hmm. So when you, even when you're afraid, even when you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, I'm going to mess up, I don't have a script, whatever. My advice to my clients is always, I'm look, do your first videos, just get them done. Your mom and your sister and your bestie are still going to love you because they're going to be the only people that watch it. Right? That's the reality, right? If you don't have a following, you have to build it. And you build it by making connections and serving, right? Serving over selling, and providing value. So, the things that I do with my clients, aside from the photos, is really create a digital content strategy and help them learn how to create that content so that it's authentic and real and vulnerable, and people don't, you don't get lost in the noise, right? You're doing things to stand out, and you're doing things to stay visible. The other way that you go from no one to someone, and then from someone to the only one, is that you're consistent, you set expectations, and you exceed them. Mm-hmm. And that includes in the digital space where you have to post numerous times a day to get seen. If you're going to blow up on TikTok, you have to do 5 to 10 edutainment videos a day. Mm-hmm. You have to. If you want to go and build 1 million TikTok followers, you have to put out funny content. You have to collaborate. You have to put out 5 to 10 videos a day. You have no choice. If you want to accomplish that, if you want to achieve that. All right. So, I mean, and it's about visibility algorithms, right? You're not competing with the other people in the interweb space. You're competing with the algorithm.
And what exactly is this TikTok?
What is the TikTok? TikTok is the
right? The breath mints.
Yes, the TikToks too. So TikTok is really the platform to be on right now. So it's where you do short 1-minute videos and you can go viral very easily and very effectively and monetize quickly. And you can also monetize on Facebook using videos. You can also monetize on Instagram now using Reels. LinkedIn, y'all, now has stories. FYI, if you haven't caught up yet, LinkedIn has stories. There's a lot of ways that you can leverage who you are. And I see Clint and Domenic. Well, you know what? Come to my group. We'll have a conversation about LinkedIn stories over there.
You kids with all your newfangled things.
We'll just see you tomorrow, Jenny. We can talk then.
I guess, we know before COVID, if you're shy, you're always going to be a no one if you don't put yourself out there. So you have to get over, your fears about the way you look and the way you sound. And do you remember the first time you heard yourself recorded? For those of you that are older here, you're like, oh my God, it's awful.
Well, that's something that I deal with my clients is overcoming the disgust at our own sound. And that's a pretty common phenomenon. As a voice trainer, almost everybody you speak to will say, I hate my voice.
And I have a podcast and I hate my voice.
Right?
And I have a video and I don't like the way I sound recorded, but I do it anyway.
And that's one of the things that I put out into the universe is I can help people overcome that fear. Mm-hmm. You just said, Stephen, you have to overcome. You have to be confident. If you are not confident, if you hate the sound of your voice, if you hate the way you look on camera, just saying get over it doesn't help. You have to find a coach and strategies and exercises that can help you change the way your brain is wired so that you can. Go ahead, Jane.
No, I'm saying the neuroscience behind it is fascinating, and the muscle memory and all of those things because I work with my clients through that too. So, yeah.
And it will happen too. I mean, I started off in radio as nervous about my voice, but after doing it for 4 years and getting, good feedback, I'll talk to anyone, speak to anyone. Anywhere. As far as image, like people don't like the way they look when they're photographed, and you go and you pick your own photographs. Well, you're picking your mirror image of yourself, right? So that's what you're used to. You only see yourself in the mirror, and that looks normal. Anything else looks abnormal. Mm-hmm. Well, to the other people, the picture you're picking of yourself is not representative of you necessarily. So you need someone like Jenny or a coach to help you pick your pictures and maybe help you slow down your voice and the way you enunciate the word. So you can't do these things in the vacuum. People that think that they can do everything in their business, they have a real problem. Learning how to delegate and also spend money and invest money in your business is extremely important because the return on investment is very high when you can increase the size of your team. And when you hire a professional, that's what you're essentially doing. Whether they work for you full-time or they're just a consultant for you, you're getting tremendous value from that. So I'm going to give someone else an opportunity to answer this question, and I always have to look at it on my phone. We're going to do Shaun J. because he has always brings sort of a philosophical, fantastical element to these type of questions that we all enjoy. And we sort of go, oh, yeah, it helps the other people answer the question. And I think sometimes I wait till the end and we don't get the full impact of what he has to say. So we're going to jump to you a little bit early today.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Say one more time, please.
Okay, I'm going to do it one more time. I could do it twice if you like.
Once is good.
Okay. No calories if I do it twice.
Okay.
How do you change from no one to be someone and from someone to be the only one?
I think the first part of the answer, from no one to someone, I think that's largely depends on how you view yourself. I think that's just a almost self-concept question, because some people are tremendously talented and viewed as somebody, but they themselves have like the imposter syndrome, and they don't think that they're anybody, and therefore just because they have that defeatist mindset, they never really advance or evolve. So that's one way of looking at it, from nobody to somebody. Kind of similar to, I think, what Rena said, in the sense that you have to realize that you have, or maybe Jenny said this, you do have intrinsic worth. You know, there is a diamond there to be polished. Everybody has potential. And my addition to that is that some people don't even give themselves permission to even go there mentally. And so just because of that mindset, they will stay as a nobody, per se. And then so how do you, from somebody to the only one, was that the second half?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
From somebody to the only one, I believe that's been covered. I mean, to be the only one, okay, so in my industry, I was always told, if you want to be that one guy or that one girl that everybody looks up to in the entertainment industry, you have to be the only person. You have to pick a niche and be the only person doing it in your own unique way. And if you look at famous actors, the ones that you can put your finger on prior to their fame probably had a lot of issues with their quirks and being unique. Because if you just look at that as it is, you go, oh wow, these people are really strange people, or they're really different, and it's only becomes accepted widely when they're famous. But up until then, they were nobody. But a lot of these people that did become famous, they recognized and embraced those quirks, and they realized that it can set them apart from everybody else. And then they picked a avenue, and they became so good at it that they were better than anyone else at that thing. Another way that you can become someone in my industry is you create a performance piece that nobody else is doing. And that's my big ideal that I strive for all the time, because when you're dealing with agents and you become a roster, you become a number on a list, and when people are buyers are going through that list, they go, well, what's the difference between performer number 1, number 2, number 3, if they're all doing the same number, if they're all doing the same steps, if they're all performing the same tricks? Well, if each one has their own thing that they are razor sharp at, then you go, well, this is the only guy that can do this. This is the only girl that can do that.
I mean, it's about delivery. I mean, comedians steal from each other all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They say, not the material. The material is meaningless. It's the delivery. You could steal from someone who's lesser than you and
yes,
another level. Also, I'm a Wikipedia junkie. I will drop into the Wikipedia rabbit hole and just start following, especially if I'm watching a movie or a TV program. And what I found about entertainment is entertainment is a business more so than any other business. It is a business, and networking is absolutely important in it.
So show business.
In show business, and people in show business are always leveraging those relationships. And there's some people that are going to make it to the very top and be extremely successful, but there's a place for everyone in the industry. The business of show business, there's people that are making very little money, and there's people that are making a lot of money, but they're all have an importance in the industry. And I think what you're sharing with us, we can bring back to our own industries. So someone who's in entertainment, they have people that advise them. They hire acting coaches, and they want to be multi-talented. They want to learn. They may not be able to sing. They take singing lessons and dance, and they spend a lot of money and a lot of time honing their craft to be the only one. And you can see, the arc. I mean, you look at someone like John Kerry. What's his name? Not Kerry. John Kerry. The guy with the rubber face.
Jim Carrey?
Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey, is very different from when he started off in his career. Or someone like, Adam Sandler, who's doing these incredible Oscar-worthy type roles now, when he was known just as a funny man and a sketch comic. These people are honing their craft, and they're investing money in doing that. They're the people that help them charge enormous amounts of money. So for the people out in the audience in Facebook world, when you're hesitating to hire someone like Jenny or Rena or Holly, don't hesitate. If you feel like you can have a good relationship with them, by all means, facilitate that. So, Jackie, would you like to take your crack at this question? Would you like me to repeat it for you?
I think I got it.
Well, Rena has it written down if you want her to present it.
Well, for me, I think everyone has a purpose. Oh, and when you know that purpose, you are someone, because that leads you to doing all of the things that you need to do to feed that purpose. And so I don't think that you can become, first of all, I think everyone is somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a matter of knowing your person, knowing your purpose to make that matriculate into you being somebody to someone else. Does that make sense?
100%.
I know for me, and it goes back to something I said a while ago when we were talking about how to, something on the line of success, of how to, what was our success for the day or something to that line. And I said that when you know who you are and the things that you're good at, that becomes your purpose, which identifies your passion, which makes you important to other people when you're able to deliver on that. And so my response to that is really being honest and true to who you are, knowing your purpose, because you're no good to anyone else if you can't fulfill that purpose.
And we're all going to look at this through a different perspective depending on what we do. And, with Jacqueline's foundation, she is recognizing people that may have felt like they were no one, but she's identifying them and saying, you are someone. And by the help that they assist them through grants, they can be that only one. So,
well, and also, I don't know if you remember the acronym that I gave a couple of weeks ago, WIN, W-I-N. I try to live by that because I believe that in all my power for myself, is that everybody is worthy, intelligent, and necessary. And again, that acronym comes about because it goes back to you knowing your purpose and being able to deliver on that purpose.
And then that's where it's really important for us to be good friends and good relatives and, speak to people that are a little concerned that maybe their role, like you said, is they feel like they are not good enough, that they are not contributing, and help them understand that they do have value and what they're doing. They don't right now, that's what they can contribute, and they don't need to contribute anymore, and it's having even more impact than they thought.
I know with the work that we do through our foundation, the people that we are helping are people who they know what they need to be doing to make a difference in this world and to, create greatness, if you will, for other people. They know what but they're hindered by, in this particular case, they're hindered by a lack of finances to help them to achieve those things. And so but you have to be able to see through many different lenses what people's needs are when they're down on themselves and they don't feel like, they're worthy to anybody. And this role that I'm in with our foundation, really has helped me to look at people from different backgrounds in a different way, to understand that their needs are, they may have the same need as the group of people that we set out to help, but those needs arise from different things different life experiences. And so I'm looking through so many different lenses to achieve my goal, to feed my purpose, to make things better for them.
Excellent. I keep on going back to Jenny because, she is the person here who does branding, etc. But social media is very powerful. I mean, I use social media as a tool. I don't use every platform, but I think as far as Facebook goes, I use it very well for myself and my clients all over the country. And I was having a conversation with someone yesterday in one of my community groups, and this person, I mean, frankly, they saw me as the mayor of this particular town. They said, you're the go-to person in this town. I said, I have to tell you, I've never visited this town before. It's just using social media and servicing the community and providing them with something. I became a someone in that community by utilizing the tool. So we have all these tools that are available to us. What is it? The Tic-Tac and
it goes along with the tweeting. It goes along with the Twitter.
That Twitter
Tic-Tac and the tweeter.
The tweeter. Using these things. Whatever you have the skill with. I mean, a lot of people just bounce from one platform to the next. I think at a certain point you have to, figure out where you're going to throw in and maybe hire someone who is very talented to run the rest for you. Because you have to change your mindset entirely from one platform to another. Like Sarah, she would be the queen of Reddit. I wouldn't even try to approach Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
And just as an aside, I really didn't give a lot of credit to Sarah today. Sarah Elliot, my wife, my partner, and the founder of Rockstar Connect with me. She is the producer of this program. Make sure it happens and everything that happens with Rockstar Connect nationwide. And I'm particularly impressed because she is taking more of a leadership role. And I imagine for a lot of people, she will be one of those only ones in the very near future. If she is not, she is definitely my only one. Holly, I'd love for you to answer this question. Rena, why don't you read the question back to her? I got it. You're muted.
Yeah. How do you change from being no one to being someone and to then become the only one?
That's a great question. So I will say that if my children ever said I'm no one, I would have much grief because I'm kind of like Jacqueline, that I think that everybody has value. However, having said that, I felt that way. I felt that way growing up. It's like, I'm no one. I just don't count. And it took me a while to find myself and find my superpower, if you will. And then I went from no one to someone in my own mind. Mm-hmm. And then I wanted to bring up this book, and I'm hoping you can see it.
Great book.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, and he says research after research after research study shows, and he documents all of it, that all of the great people who have ever become something where they're the only one, they're the expert, they're the success, it's taken them 10,000 hours.
Yes.
So let that sink in. I mean, we heard Jenny talk about the fact that you need to be, visible. You need to be on social media. You need to have your content. Well, all of that takes time, and it's time well spent. I think everybody's kind of intimated that. It took me, I guarantee you, at least that many hours to hit my stride. And once you do that, he talks about all kinds of people, the Beatles, that, everybody, it's like, oh, they're an overnight success. Baloney. It took all of them about 10,000 hours to hit their stride.
All that time in Hamburg, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Getting bottles thrown at them.
Exactly. Yeah, they weren't liked at all initially, and I mean, and great sports figures and everybody, and he boiled it down to everybody over and over again was saying, no, I poured my heart and soul into this. So in order to become the only one, in order to have something, and we have to remember, there can be so many only ones, it's not even funny. because we all have different talents. We all have different things that we can offer, and we can all fit together to help each other out. Jenny's got like 14 things she's working on. She's like the Swiss Army knife of our connectors, lots of different uses. And then I do a lot of speaking and training. That's my superpower. I love it when the light bulb goes on. I had a class this morning and people were like, how do you teach like you do? Oh my gosh. And I'm like, because I've done this 5 million hours, So you have to remember that when you want to really be the only one, you have to put in the time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's interesting you brought up superpower, because when I thought of this question, I said, the fact that we all discussed our superpower several weeks ago, and it was an easy question for everyone. We all knew what our superpowers were. It allows us to be a superhero to our community, and that community could be a community of many, or it could be a community of one. It could be to our children. It could be to strangers that we meet, that we have impact on immediately. So we're well prepared by understanding what our superpowers are in order to use those superpowers for good versus bad. I mean, can you imagine an evil Domenic versus a good Domenic?
Are they kind of one and the same?
Like, wahahaha.
Yeah.
As I stroke my beard and my hairless cat.
Because there's some people, they're connectors, and they go around and they share, good things about other people, and they're constructive, and they create connections. And there's other people that, are talking to everyone, and they're spreading garbage and damage and destruction and havoc in their way. And sometimes, you can meet someone who's like the latter, and you can take them aside and bring them over to the good side, take them away from the dark side of the force. To be more impactful in their community. People that are talented and intelligent can do very good things, and they can also, unfortunately, do very, very bad things. Clint has a great, I'm going to say the word right out there, he's got a great bullshit meter. So, he can tell you, well, this person, they're okay, but maybe their butt can't cash the checks that their mouth writes. Right. And so, Clint, why don't we go to you for the question, and we'll let Domenic end on that, and then Shaun you're gonna share some stuff with us. I'm sure that's fantastic. So, Clint, how do you change from no one to be someone, and from someone to be the only one? And I know I'm gonna guess you do that through service.
Yeah, that's actually what I had written down, man. Everybody here has said all of the things. I mean, we're all very like-minded individuals. I just jotted down a few notes. I mean, like Shaun was saying, you have to use your strengths. Like that's one of the main things that you have to do. Like myself, I know that I'm good at putting people together. Jackie and I were just having this conversation privately. Introduced her to somebody at 3 Martini, and now she loves this guy, and so they're gonna have a good relationship going forward. So that's great, and that's how I serve. I put other people before me. You'll rarely hear me asking for business. It's all about putting people in touch with the right people, and the business comes at that point.
Right. People trust you. You don't have a product that everyone needs right now that you're repping. But that being said, because and this is what I always said in my business, like when I was in the book business, I loved books, but I loved people more. So if I did things for people, they rewarded me by sending people my way to buy books.
That's right. And that's how I try to set up. That's how I've built my network. That's how I've built the reputation that I have as a connector, and, just putting other people first, and, being able to read people. You have to know the moment, you have to know the person, you have to know the personality. I think that's important. The most important thing these days, because relationships is what's going to carry salespeople, above and beyond. I mean, look at everybody on here is super successful at what they do. It's because they are people. And I want to say something about the delivery with the comedian, since you were talking about it. One of the best ever to do it, who's not very well known, his name is Mitch Hedberg. And if nobody has ever heard of Mitch Hedberg, looks like Jenny and Dom do, and that does not surprise me in the least bit. His delivery, he's the driest comedian you will ever hear in your life, but the way that he presents his stuff, he is one of the funniest people I've ever heard. And unfortunately, I think he's part of that 27 club, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and so that's a shame. But he has the best delivery I've ever heard of any comedian ever.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Yeah,
This
So
very
good.
similar to for me, very similar to Steve Wright. If you remember Steve Wright from the '90s, I don't know what happened to him.
Well, so all these big time comedians always get the time, get the pub, the Eddie Murphys, the Richard Pryors, the Red Foxes, the George Carlins, and they're all great and they all have great, comedic timing. But Mitch Hedberg was on another level and he was just not very well known, and it was a shame.
Yeah.
So everyone's going to YouTube after this and looking up some of his stuff.
They play him on Sirius XM on that.
Definitely should. Oh yeah, they do on the inappropriate channels.
Yeah.
Oh, Steven, do not listen to him around your kids.
Oh, I'm very familiar with that. Sirius, the comedy channels. I mean, I'm more on Laugh USA. I like when a comic can do it clean and still get laughs. I think that's super talented. And the Canadian one, and they're pretty. Even when they try to be filthy on the Canadian one, they're pretty tame. But Laugh USA, you have to check it out. Who's the comedian from Raleigh, North Carolina? She's in her 70s that I love so much.
She's not from Raleigh. She's from Benson.
But she was born in Raleigh.
What is her name?
She'll find out. We'll put that out to you. You guys have to listen to this woman. She's absolutely the best. She's on the corporate circuit. She's a corporate comedian and very funny. Always on Laugh USA. So Domenic, how do you change? And Sarah's looking it up. How do you change from no one to be someone, and from someone to be the only one?
Right. Well, if Heather was in the room, I'd ask her how I did that. When it comes to developing strong relationships, when it comes to being the go-to person for whatever it is that you do, yes, thank you, Clint, for the world's greatest lover. First thing,
I didn't say it this time.
Yeah, I know you didn't. Look, hey, Sarah, add that to the list. And the first thing you got to do is you got to be willing to reach out you can't go from no one to someone unless someone makes the first move. And if you remember the old middle school dance, right, there was only a handful of people dancing and everybody else was standing against the wall, right? So if you want to be that someone that's out there on the floor, you got to ask somebody to dance. And so it's taking that first step to go from no one to someone, is get them to know your name. And I know you can do the branded content marketing, but I think that's kind of that gets somebody to know who you are, but it also gets somebody that you've reached out to get to know you better. So it kind of serves both functions.
Great tool.
But I think the best way to go from no one to someone is to make that outreach initially. And then once you're there, you have to be present. You have to give without taking. One of the best examples is, if you're talking to somebody, put this away, right? Look them in the eye, show them that they're the only person in the room. When you're talking to them, engage and be genuinely interested in what's going on in their world, whether it be their business world, their personal world. That's gonna really start to build that relationship. But you can't do that unless you're authentically, and I think we've heard this word over and over again. You have authenticity, and you really, really are interested in that person, right? And then once you're there, you have to follow through with whatever it is you say you're going to do. If you tell somebody you're going to introduce them to somebody, you got to do it. If you tell somebody you're going to send them information, you got to do it. If you tell somebody that you're going to meet them somewhere, you've got to do it. And then once you do that, repeat. if you repeat that performance and you show that consistency and you continue to give and you demonstrate that this is not a transactional relationship, you're not giving just because you have an expectation that you're going to get back, but this is just who you are, you're going to be that only one. It just takes time. You got to build it.
Well, it's like when we first met at in North Raleigh, you and I told you what Rockstar Connect did. I said right off the bat, I said, we don't create rock stars. Our clients are already rock stars. We just provide a tool that'll make it more efficient that you can become well known. But if you suck, if you stink, first of all, we don't want you as a host because you're not going to have any success.
Right.
You know, what's the point of promoting someone who is a jerk and selfish? That's not going to add to our community to add value. So our hosts in Rockstar Connect, they pay us a monthly fee to facilitate the logistics of the event. But they are the rock star, they are the superstar, and they have skin in the game to help us build a national network. Because really that's the mission of Sarah and I, is to help people exactly like the people that are on this broadcast, the panelists, the attendees of the events, people that sometimes feel very alone and they need to have a community that they can participate in with people that have similar challenges and have successes that are achievable as well, that they can teach to other people. And that's the purpose of Rockstar Connect for Sarah and I. And we know that everyone that comes to our events feels like someone. And we know that for our hosts, for our attendees, our hosts become the only one. They become the leader. They become the mentor and the connector. I mean, we basically, Jenny worships Domenic now.
I think you have that backwards.
Yeah.
I might have that backwards, but I did catch her attention. Regardless, I'd be one of those school teachers that are throwing chalk. By the way.
I apologize. My husband keeps messaging me text messages about the podcast episode that came out today because it was my parents that we interviewed, and I keep getting distracted by these messages that are popping up on my screen. So I apologize.
Quotes from your father?
Quoting my father. So it's very amusing. Sorry.
Oh, you're gonna have the next massive Facebook page. Shit, my father says.
So the comedian that I was talking about, her name is Jeannie Robertson, and she is 6 foot. I mean, it's like 6 foot, a minimum of 6'4". She might be 6'6".
She's fantastic.
She's fantastic, and she was Miss North Carolina. And
her husband's name is Left Brain.
They call him Left Brain. He's an engineering professor that from Duke. She's 6'2", which is very tall for a woman of that generation because she's in her 70s, and she is so funny and so hilarious and so uplifting, and she is an entrepreneur herself. So she is one of these type of people that sold her CDs out of the back of the trunk of her car to create a career, and now gets paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to appear at corporate events. So I do recommend her. She's a phenomenal comedian and celebrity and a big star on Sirius XM. If you liked the comedy monologues of Andy Griffith, for example, the good Southern comedy from the 60s and 70s, she is the heir apparent to that.
Can I mention something about that, Stephen?
Yes. Go ahead.
So oddly enough, the family that I married into, she is an aunt of one of the other family members.
Well, bless her.
Yeah, and so we had dinner with her. I think 2 or 3 Thanksgivings in a row, and she's an actually really nice person. So it's not that she's only funny, but she is a super nice person, and she's super genuine, and she's the exact same person on stage as she is in person.
Yeah, if you go on YouTube, you can see, she probably has 100 videos on YouTube. And in the audience, it's all her friends from when she was in, elementary school all the way through college. If you need some uplifting today or anytime this week, have you listened to her, Jenny? So we've all heard her. I'm preaching to the choir here. Rena probably is not, because she's not here in the South. Check her out, Shaun. Check her out, because she's in the business you are. Entertainment, but also with the corporate entertainment as well. Maybe you guys connect.
Rena who? What's the name?
Jeannie Robertson.
Oh, Jeannie Robertson. Okay.
Amazing performer. So speaking of amazing performers and a great corporate talent, involved in team building, nationally and internationally known, we have Shaun J with us again, and he is going to share an illusion with us.
Well, thank you again, Stephen and Sarah and everybody else for the support, for having me on this program. This is really cool to connect with people, and I just have taken a lot of time during this time, stuck at home, and I've had a lot of time to contemplate and think about what am I grateful for. And, we talked about the 10,000 hours, and I don't know how many hours I've been doing this thing. I know I've been doing my business, my entertainment business. I've been practicing and performing for 17 years. So I know that means it's a few extra hours for sure. But one of the things that I always took for granted was my ability to learn things really fast and my dexterity. And about 6 years ago, I actually had an incident happen to me that put everything into perspective and helped me appreciate my hands more, and that is going through carpal tunnel syndrome. I actually 6 years ago couldn't use both of my hands. I couldn't button my shirt. I couldn't pick up a fork. It was very difficult just to do most things that people take for granted. So this piece that I created here is kind of a celebration of a recovery to where I can use my hands again, and I'm so thankful that I can do this and share this sleight of hand piece with you guys. So pure sleight of hand, paying tribute to the masters of the past, like this guy right here is Harry Blackstone Jr. If you Google him, you will see amazing things, Harry Houdini, and there's a magic wand over there that I'd like to show you. Check this out. And that's how it's done. Classic sleight of hand magic. 17 years of practice, no social life, all for you. And that's what I do.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shaun. That's fantastic. And Shaun is going to drop this information there. If you need him to spice up your virtual event or now your physical event or do some team building, he is the person to utilize, but also to recommend. So if you enjoyed his performance today and you know of anyone out in the business community, anywhere in the United States or for that matter, elsewhere, bring up Shaun's name and he's going to provide something that they're not going to have anywhere else.
Thursday, October 22nd, I'm actually doing a ticketed show online with the Forum Theater. Just wanted to give you the heads up. It'll be something that you can watch.
Over to the team and we'll put that out in our email.
Thanks.
We have a great list at Rockstar Connect, over 110,000 people that have gone to our events. And,
awesome. Appreciate it.
Value on that list. So it'll be, connected to some of our events too. I want to thank everyone for participating today. We are at the end of the panel. We'll see you next week, Tuesday, 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you are listening out in Facebook land and you'd like to be a panelist, you can go to our website, rockstarconnect.com, and learn how you can be a panelist. Thank you, everyone. Put up your hands and wave goodbye till next week. Thank you. Have a lot of success.